Hi everyone, I'm Middle. I've been playing World of Warcraft for 22 years, with varying levels of intensity and breaks here and there.
I was there, Gandalf. I was there 3,000 years ago.
With all the new hype around possible Classic Plus announcements at BlizzCon this year, a lot of people are right now arguing about what Classic Plus should add. New classes, new raids, new zones, and that conversation matters, but I think it's the wrong place to start. In a recent interview with Jeff Kaplan, he was asked about early WoW development, and he said something that jumped out of the screen and slapped me right in the tits.
Chris famously said the lead character of World of Warcraft is the world, and I always believed that. So you're trying to create this place that's exciting and dangerous, but comfortable, but uncomfortable.
The world was the main character. Not your character, not the raid boss, not the expansion villain, but the world itself. It was the thing we were up against, it pushed back, and it slowed us down. And it made the world feel like something. And that's what Classic Plus needs to protect. And in this video, I want to talk about what that actually means, and what it would look like if Blizzard were bold enough to build around it. Alright, so let's define the terms, because people are using Classic Plus to mean a lot of different things. At one end, you've got the patch approach, which is just add new content to Classic. So new raids, maybe a new zone, keep everything else identical. This is the safe option, but I think safe is boring. And then at the other end, you've got Retail Lite. Borrow the systems Blizzard has refined over 20 years, accessibility features, quality of life changes, borrowed power, catch-up mechanics, and this is the version that would kill Classic completely. And then there's the third path, somewhere in between, but deliberately chosen. Not just accidentally landed on, a version of Classic that expands the world while staying true to what feels like a world, not a game. And that's the one I want to talk about. That's the version that requires Blizzard to ask a harder question than what do we add? The question is, what do we protect? There's a moment in Jeff Kaplan's Lex Fridman interview, and if you haven't watched it, I'll link it below. It's about 5 hours, enjoy. But where he talks about the original design philosophy behind World of Warcraft. And the thing that stuck with me is how intentional the discomfort was. Travel's not fast, because the journey was the point. The world wasn't your servant, you were its guest. That's not a design mistake Blizzard made and later fixed, that was the design. The world was supposed to resist you. Over time, patch by patch, and expansion by expansion, that resistance got removed. Flying mounts, teleporting dungeons, catch-up gear, each change was reasonable in isolation, but together they turned Azeroth from a world into a lobby. You log in, you queue for content, and you log out. You never actually move through the world. You never get lost, and you never feel small. Warcraft 3 understood this differently. The campaigns weren't about world-ending stakes every 5 minutes. They were intimate. A village, a betrayal, a king losing himself, but the world was always there, grounded, consequential, and the story earned its weight. That's the DNA that Classic WoW inherited, and that's what Classic Plus has to be built around. Not just content, but soul. Okay, so what does it actually look like if Blizzard swings big? Let me give you 3 areas where I think Classic Plus would be genuinely surprising. First, race and class combinations. This is the low-hanging fruit, but only if Blizzard actually commits to the interesting ones. Dwarf Shaman. Think about it. Dwarves are one of the oldest races on Azeroth. Their connection to the earth, to stone, to fire, to the deep places. It's right there in the lore. Shamanism isn't just about nature's spirits, it's about connection to the elements. A dwarf shaman isn't a stretch, it's kind of a correction. Undead Paladin. Well, this one is harder to sell, but hear me out. It's quite popular on some unnamed servers. The Forsaken are the most interesting faction in the game because they're already wrestling with identity. What does it mean to be dead and choose to fight anyway? And an undead paladin isn't a holy warrior. There's something darker. A paladin who lost their light and holds on to the last ember of it. I don't know, but that's a character story Warcraft 3 probably would have told beautifully. And these combos, they're not gimmicks. They're lore opportunities. They say something about the world, and that's what we want. New classes. Actual new classes, not just reskins. Classes with their own identity, rooted in Warcraft history. And hell, what about just new specs as well? I've been saying it for years, but the Blade Master, samurai adjacent, orcish warrior tradition, wind magic and bladestorm fantasy. This is a Warcraft 3 hero class that has been absent from WoW for 20 years. It has a clear identity, a clear play style, and it slots into the world without needing to be explained. I've always seen it as a potential talent tree for warriors. People always fight back with, well, you know, that they've got rogues, but these guys, they're samurais, dude. Two-hand weapons. The Warden. In Season of Discovery, we had tank rogues. I feel like they should have just made a new tree and called it the Warden. Like how in War 3, you played as Maiev hunting Illidan across Outland. This character exists, this fantasy exists, just let us play it. Here's the thing about playing it safe with Classic Plus. If Blizzard delivers a handful of content patches, a new raid, a couple of dungeons, maybe one new zone, the people who wanted Classic back will play for a month and then leave. Because it won't feel like more Classic, it'll feel like Classic going through the motions. And the other people who wanted something genuinely new, who wanted Classic Plus to be its own game, might not show up at all. A timid Classic Plus is worse than no Classic Plus, because it answers the question badly. It tells us Blizzard had the chance and didn't swing. This is a once-in-a-generation moment for this game. Classic came out in 2019 and reminded everyone, including Blizzard, that the old world had value, and that the design philosophy behind it was worth revisiting.
And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
Classic Plus, done right, is the argument that the soul of the game can grow without losing itself. Done wrong, it's just an update, and updates don't last. So here's where I land. Classic Plus has one job. Not to be bigger than Classic, not to do better than retail. Its job is to keep the world as the main character. Every decision, every class, every zone, every mechanic should answer one question. Does this make Azeroth feel more like a world or less? If the answer is more, add it. If the answer is less, cut it. That's the filter, that's the design philosophy, that's the soul. I've been playing this game for 22 years because Azeroth used to feel real, not in a technical sense, but in a weighted sense. It had gravity, it pushed back, and when you finally got somewhere, you felt it. That's what I want Classic Plus to protect, and I genuinely think Blizzard can do it if they're willing to swing. I mean, in SOD, they swung. Maybe a little too hard in some areas. But yeah, I think what they did was pretty good. So what do you guys think? Drop it in the comments. I want to know what Classic Plus means to you, and what would make you come back, what would make you stay. If you're new here, I talk about WoW. I've been doing it for a while. I've just been making shorts recently because I want something new to do. And I'll keep doing it for as long as this game keeps giving me reasons to. Subscribe if that sounds like your kind of thing. Bye.